Well, he was like, he comes in, he's like, it's gonna be May. And like whoever the new generation is like, what do you mean? It's like, the song, get it? It's May. It's gonna be May. The person doesn't get it. It's like the Backstreet or the NSYNC. Justin Timberlake. They're like, who?
Well, they would know who Justin Timberlake is, right? No?
No, Richard, they don't.
He's put out new music.
Like 10 years ago.
Really? Was it that long ago?
It's probably been a while.
Last time Justin Timberlake put out a song was 10 years ago?
I mean, I'm sure he's put something out, like something of note.
I don't believe it. I think you're speaking poison. That's what I think. How dare you disparage Justin Timberlake? He brought sexy back, Shawn. I don't know what.
Man of the Woods 2018, Richard. Do you remember that song?
No. I barely remember I barely remember the song It's Gonna Be Man. I just remember like It's Gonna Be Man, and then that's it. That's it.
He's got a new one out this year called Innocent.
And I remember he brought the sexy back.
Oh, and he was on Trolls World Tour. Filthy, that was him. Trolls, True Colors.
I don't even remember the last piece of new music that I listened to.
10 Years came out with one last year. Who did I found somebody decent that I started listening to. Well, there was that Soccer Mom. I kind of like her.
I have no idea what that is.
I sent it to you. It's like, I thought it was going to be kind of like Three Moon Stallion, or whatever that one girl is that parties with Cardi B. But it's more like 90s rock. I listened to Beartooth. They came out with a new album. I haven't listened to it yet, though. They're pretty heavy, though.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I'm torn. I am stuck. I feel like I'm stuck in this like constant battle of, am I old or are things just stupid? Am I old or are things just bad?
I think when you get to a certain age, it's a lot of work to find something new.
Like Friends.
Well, it is. It's a lot of work.
Love.
Running out of time. Love.
We're running out of time. Don't say that to me.
Richard, we got a solid 20 years left.
God, you're right.
Yeah. You're the one that sent me that depressing YouTube video. Like, hey, watch this. I'm like, hey, my dad's
Who's gonna die? Who's gonna die first?
Probably me.
It's gonna be me. See, that brought back around. We're not even recording a show yet.
Nope. It's already sad.
Tears of a clown. Anyway, let's do this. What's up, everybody? I'm Richard.
And I'm Shawn.
And we are speaking the language of romance. And Shawn, I come to you today, and I literally, and I mean, I'm actually using it I am literally using the word literally in its literal meaning. I literally have nothing to share.
Well, Richard,
I come to you empty-handed after crawling through the barren wasteland that is my week.
Well, that's all the bro said for this show.
Credits.
No, Richard. So we have talked numerous times about how, back in the day, you could just pack up your stuff and move 2 towns over and be like, I'm a doctor.
Yeah.
And everybody be like, well, he's not from around here, so he must be a doctor.
Must be a doctor.
Where'd you go to school? University of Stonewater.
Yeah.
Like, ooh, I've heard of that. I've heard of that.
Fredonia University.
Yeah. There's like a Leonardo DiCaprio movie, not the one where he fights bears, but one where he goes around pretending to be things. And that was in the 70s.
Fucking Tom Hanks is in that movie. What is it? Catch Me If You Can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we kind of think oh my gosh, maybe this is something that doesn't happen that often. But there was some lady running around getting at all these fancy parties. She had one of those black MasterCard things, whatever those are called. The ones with no limit.
I thought that wasn't real.
No, those are real. They're made of metal.
They're real? Those are for real? They exist in the world?
Yeah, I mean that's where those are like, we don't care how much you spend because you have a
Wow.
lot of money. It's like, you want to put a boat on this? Sure.
You know you're poor when like someone tells you that like talks about a black MasterCard and you're like, no, that's a myth. That's like a
It's like a
you know,
unicorn.
yeah, it's a unicorn. It's a bi-curious female that, it's like being married to a bi-curious female.
No, I think it'd be like knowing a bi-curious female and your wife is like, hey, we should let her stay the weekend.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
but we're remodeling all the rooms. Not our room. Oh yeah. Hey, why's the door locked? Oh, damn it. Again.
No, that's reality. The unicorn of it is if the door was unlocked. That would be
I think
that is the black MasterCard of weekends.
if we, if we ever made like Language of Bromance, like X-rated movies, that would be what would it be like. You'd show up and be like, oh, the door's locked, and you're like, man, this is just my luck, and then you just hear click. It's like, it's not locked now.
Oh shit!
Language of Bromance.
Who wants puppets?
Wait, why'd you lock the door again? But no, so like I said, there's this lady like not too long ago who was sneaking in all these fancy parties, and she got like that super expensive, or not super expensive, the unlimited MasterCard.
Yeah, the unicorn card.
Yeah, she'd go to hotels and they'd be like, hey, we're going to comp this room for you, like this suite, because you're loaded. She's like, yeah, I'm loaded. I got tons of money.
How does that make sense? Why is that, Shawn? Why is it that when you're poor, nobody gives you anything, but when you finally have the money to buy it, then people just give you things?
Because they want your money. They give you, there's no such thing as a free lunch, Richard. I'm pretty sure that's a book. So yeah, they give you that suite for free, but that's because they're expecting something and they're going to make money off of you.
Yeah, but they're not explicitly saying like, we'll give, if they were like, hey, we'll give you the suite for free, but you have to spend $5,000 in the casino.
No,
that would make sense. But what they do is they go, we'll give you this room for free. And you go, okay, great. And then you stay in the room and you steal all the towels.
No, that's what the poor people do.
Soaps.
That's what we do, Richard. We get in there and we're like, oh, hey, they're going to give us this suite for free. And we steal a bunch of stuff. Like, so you're going to come back and buy
bathrobes.
Complimentary, right?
Never had a bathrobe before. Who has a bathrobe? Do you own a bathrobe? I do not own a bathrobe.
I don't. My wife does. Which she wanted.
Should I own a bathrobe?
Nah.
I don't feel like I'd use it. Like,
yeah,
you wrap a towel around your dick and, and go out to greet the world, right?
Yeah. Well, usually I dry off and then put clothes on, but I mean, you do you, man. Although,
well, yeah, but you don't have all your clothes in the bathroom with you.
I mean, they're right next to it. Well, I mean, like my bathroom's connected. In the bedroom. Yeah, but my bathroom's connected, so I don't have to go like anywhere.
Oh, fucking Mr. Fancy Pants Unicorn bathroom over here.
Hey, did I tell you about this hotel room I got comped the other day?
No, but you showed me the bathrobe.
No, but like, I guess it's a good point. Like, if you go outside, like in just a towel after showering and like talking to the neighborhood, like you're probably going to get the cops called on you. But if you walk out in a bathrobe, they're going to be like, oh, look, it's Richard. He's, he's just coming out to say hi.
Look at him hanging out in his bathroom. We should give him things.
Yeah. I've never heard of the Hilton
looks like
Inns.
He's got money.
I've never heard of the Hilton.
He's got a black MasterCard. That's not real.
I've never heard of the Hilton's Inn brand. What kind of brand's that for those?
Yeah.
Very exclusive. It's like the black MasterCard.
Can't get these on Amazon.
It's made of 100% cotton. But no, I mean, like I said, she was going in and doing all these things. Like, I think, if the hotel sees that and they're like, oh, well, they're going to come back for like their parties. They're going to do this. It's a way to kind of incentivize the rich people to keep coming back. Like I said, if you and I went, they'd be like, well, we're not going to comp this because they're going to come this one time. They're going to trash the hotel. We'll never see them again. Rich people keep coming back. So she exploited that. I don't have that story in front of me. But basically, she kind of lied around. And the shady thing about that, I think, is so she did all these things, and she ended up like going to prison for what's it called where you lie to people?
Well, wait a minute. Like, if she was like, hey, I have a black MasterCard, and they were like, here, take this free room, like, where's the crime? I don't see that being a crime. I just see that as like a hotel being stupid.
Yeah, that's what I would assume. But what's it called where you it's the
Fraud?
master fraud, yeah. They charged her with a bunch of fraud.
Because was she charging things on the MasterCard that didn't belong to her? Because that's fraud.
I don't know that for sure. But even then, like if you charge up on a card, I mean, as long as you pay the minimum, right? That's how I got my last car. I just put it on the card.
You pay the minimum? Oh, Mr. fucking Fancy Pants over here paying his minimum payments.
Well, yeah, it's like the tax or the interest on it's like, $100 and you just keep running it up, right? That's how credit cards work, aren't they?
Yes, that's exactly how credit cards work. I mean, I would know this if I ever owned one, but Shawn, no one will give me money.
But this, I found a couple stories of, this was way before MasterCards, and this was two different times. One's a little bit longer than the other, but these are people who back in the day were able to kind of twist and use their words to pretend that they were other people.
Okay.
So I'm going to take you back, Richard, to April 3rd.
Charlatans. The era of the charlatan.
April 3rd, 1817.
Ooh, summer love.
Summer of love. So a cobbler in Almondsbury in England met an apparently disoriented young woman wearing exotic clothes who was speaking in an incomprehensible language. The cobbler's wife took the stranger to the overseer of the poor, who placed her in the hands of a local county magistrate, Samuel Worrell, who lived in Knoll Park on the estate where Tower House is located. So
there's a guy that's the minister of the poor.
Overseer of the poor.
Overseer of the poor.
Yeah, so this was a person that administered poor relief such as money and food and clothing in England.
Oh, okay. So he's like he shows up and he's like, hey, you guys look poor. And they're like, yeah, because you guys have all the money because you guys want to knight yourself and then hang out in clubs and wear smoking jackets. I don't even own a smoking jacket. If I got invited to one, though, I'd steal the smoking jacket and I'd wear it around my house.
So Worrell is American-born wife. So this guy couldn't even get like an English lady. He had to go to America to find his wife, and her name was Elizabeth.
Don't say that, because now it sounds like an American lady. Like you say it with such derision. Be like he had to leave England and find an American woman.
Well, this
wrote songs about it, Shawn. There's a song, American Woman.
Yeah, made in the 60s. But this was like post-Revolutionary War.
Yeah. Also, the next lyric is Stay Away From Me.
Yeah. That's a good point.
I guess I just kind of shot my own argument in the foot.
Yeah. It's the old saying. It's like American Woman's fun, but you don't want to bring her home to England.
That's the old saying.
Yeah. That was I think that was the whole basis of Austin Powers 2.
Yeah. That was an Aesop fable.
Mm-hmm.
The story of the Englishman and the American woman.
All they do is nag all the way across the water.
Yeah.
They're like, I want to be in first class. Like, oh, look, Mr. Fancy Pants. You think they're going to comp our room?
Want a private room.
Next, you're going to want to...
Lolly, I want to take the lift. There, that's how you sound.
Next, you're going to want to brush your teeth.
Yeah. He's like, oh, God, American women suck.
Stay away from me.
Stay away from me. Mama, let me be.
So both of them could not understand her. What they did determine that she called herself Caraboo. Caraboo.
Like the moose?
It's not Caraboo,
well,
it sounds like
it's not spelled exactly like, but why would a woman want to call herself a moose?
I don't know. Whenever I hear that word too, I think of what's the train movie for Christmas? Polar Express. Because they run into Caraboo.
Like the football player, Moose. Like that would be the only reason you would want to call yourself a Caraboo.
Well, Caraboo Moose
if you were like a lineman for the fucking New Orleans Saints.
Yeah. Like it's the line of Caraboo. Nothing gets past them.
Who are you? I'm Caraboo. Caraboo with a sack.
So they sent her to a local inn where she identified a drawing of a pineapple with the word nanas, meaning pineapple in an Indonesian language, and insisted on sleeping on the floor.
We're dealing with a fucking genius here, Shawn.
Yeah, I know, right? So Samuel Wall declared she was a beggar and should be taken to Bristol and tried for vagrancy.
Yeah, and she's stupid. All she does is point at pictures of fruit.
Yeah, she says, nanas, nanas,
yeah,
nanas.
I do that, and everybody says I'm drunk.
I mean, I am, but if you were married to an American woman, you'd be drunk all the time, too. Come home, she's like,
save off this depression instituted by poverty.
Did you realize...
I wouldn't be drunk and yelling about fruit if I had a black MasterCard.
Do you realize I floated all the way to America and brought her home? Like, yeah. I went thousands of miles. I risked life and limb twice.
Yeah, they're like, you should have done a second glance before you got back on the boat there, bud.
Yeah, and I bring her back.
Nanas! Would you shut up?
She's like, are you at the bar again? I'm like, yeah, I need a pint. She's like, will you fucking speak in English?
Shut up! Shut up! Shut up! Shut up!
All she wants to do is say nanas and sleep on the floor. What's interesting, like back in this time too, they try you for vagrancy because I guess they
can still try you for vagrancy.
I guess would
like
that
vagrancy is still a crime?
Would that be more like okay, so this is like begging or
yeah,
or this would be like what they say panhandling.
Like if we when we arrest homeless people, instead of do nice things to them, then it's usually vagrancy.
Yeah, you always have those people like on the side of the road, like when you go off an interstate.
Yeah,
and they're sitting there and they say, "Hey, well, I won't kill you if you give me money."
Yeah, yeah. Have you ever given them money?
No, because I've heard around like where I live, it's actually the bad part is you don't know how much of it's like a racket and how much of like is legitimately needed.
Yeah, I mean, I don't care whether it's a racket or it's legitimately needed. Like either way, like whatever.
I'm gonna hang out by your house.
To give, sure, you can have it.
I'm gonna sit there and hold up a sign. Richard, give me $10. Yeah,
I mean, if you need it, sure.
Well, you don't know if I need it. I don't need it.
Well, I mean, even if you don't need it, like if you're asking me for it, you're like, yeah. If you're asking me for it and I can afford it, sure, why not?
Can I have a robe?
If I had one. I don't have one, Shawn, because I'm poor.
Can you go to the hotel and get a comped room and get me one?
If I could afford a hotel, yes, I could. Yes, I would, Shawn.
So during her imprisonment, a Portuguese sailor named Manuel Enesso, Eynsso, or Ains, said he spoke her language and translated her story.
Nah.
Yes, this is a great racket right here. Like he's like, "Oh, I'm Portuguese. I speak her language."
Yeah,
totally.
Nah.
He's like, "Who are you?"
And she like turns her head and kind of looks at him.
Nas, na na nas, na 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 na, na 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 na. Hey, goodbye. Na 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 na.
Light it up, it's dynamite.
So according to him, she was Princess Caraboo from the island of Javasu in the Indian Ocean.
Oh.
She had been captured by pirates, Richard.
Oh, no.
And after a long voyage, she had jumped overboard in the Bristol Channel and swum ashore.
Oh, that totally makes sense.
Yeah.
People got kidnapped and put on boats all the time.
Yeah, because what else are they going to put you on? Can't put you on planes.
A lot in Portland.
Oregon?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Dude, okay. We'll have to bring this up for a later episode. But the whole city of Portland, underneath the city, especially down by the waterfront, there's like a whole series of underground tunnels, and they all led up, and like they all had like entryways into bars that were all along the waterfront. And like people would go down to the bars to drink, and then they'd either get drugged and like, smuggled into these tunnels, or like there were like trap doors and shit. So you'd be standing at the bar and somebody'd open a trap door, boom, you're under, you just fall through the trap door, and then there's two guys there that grab you and drag you off.
Huh.
There was one I saw where they were sitting, was sitting at a booth, and these two guys would be behind a wall where the booth was, and they just like tilt the booth back, and you just tumble ass over backwards into into this room where these guys like grab you and then just set the booth back up.
That sounds very Three Stooges.
It's like a bunch of like secret doors and shit like that, and secret trap doors and shit like that. But they would take you and like just stick you on a boat, and the boat would sail off. And so then like you wake up the next morning and you're drugged and you're on a fucking boat and you're in the middle of the ocean. Like, what the fuck else are you gonna do?
Yeah, they're
and
like,
then the captain's like, yeah, the captain's like, look, you're gonna work, or I'm just gonna throw you overboard because doesn't matter shit to me either way.
Yeah, nobody knows you're on this boat.
And you know where those boats would usually travel to, Shawn? Shanghai, China. That's why it's called being Shanghaied.
I've never heard that.
Yeah.
Huh. So when did that stop? It hasn't stopped, Shawn. It still continues to this day.
Why do you think they always say the whole like keep Portland weird? Or is that Austin?
That's Austin.
Know. But Portland has
Portland is like we keep you on the boat in Portland, which is always it didn't make sense until now.
I think it's listed as like the youngest city in the US. I think average age is like, or the median age is like 37. You know why? Because all the old people get put on boats and sailed away.
Yeah, how would that? Well, you wouldn't want an old person because they can't get much work done. Yeah,
but what do you give a shit? If you don't like them, you just throw them over the side of the boat.
Yeah, that's true. And then they can definitely not swim, so then you don't have to worry about anything.
You don't have to worry about anything anyway. You're in the middle of the ocean.
Is that why they call the water there like the Portland dead bodies?
What?
Because they dump the bodies and they just, you've never heard this? So, Richard, if you try to swim in the Portland docks, dead bodies all over the place.
Oh.
Yeah, mostly old people.
The other thing I heard is that they would lock you, like, after you got captured or whatever, or like, basically, like, kidnapped in the bar, then they would stick you in cages, like, and wait for boats to come, wait for boats to dock, and then the guys would be like, hey, I'll give me 50, $10 and you can have this dude that I have locked in a cage. So just throw him on your boat. And the captain would be like, okay. But anyway, the other thing that they would do is in these underground tunnels and stuff like that, they would spread broken glass all over like the passageways and stuff. So that way, if somebody broke out of the cage, then as they're trying to find a way out, they're walking over all this broken glass.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that
it's not a dumb idea. If you take everybody's shoes and everything, what are you going to do?
Yeah,
besides walk on broken
so they
glass?
take all their shoes off. Yeah, so they're walking over broken glass,
I've never heard of that.
which means that if they're walking over the broken glass, either A, like they couldn't go very far, or B, they cut their foot and then the guys could just follow the blood trail. So
yeah, so these are better known as the Shanghai tunnels, huh?
See?
So, Richard, you can do underground Portland walking
How did
tours.
I not know? How did I not talk about this? I feel like I've talked about this before.
Yeah, we've never talked about this before. Yeah, I think this needs to be queued up for an episode.
Yep.
Actually, what we can do, we'll go to Portland and we'll go
Now we can't talk about it anymore.
We'll go on the walking tour there, and we'll go into one of those.
Yeah.
We would not do good on a ship,
I like
Richard.
this idea.
First off, I'm scared of sharks.
I'm young and fragile. I'd be walking around constantly asking for a bathrobe.
Or a bathroom. So the Worrells took Caraboo to their home because now they're like, oh my God, she's a princess. So like what we just talked about earlier, Richard, they're like, hey, we're going to comp your room because you're a princess. So you're bound to give us money. Yeah. So we were going to send you to jail because we thought you were poor. But now that you got some money, we'll let you hang out.
It's the old timey version of a Nigerian prince.
It actually is. So for 10 weeks, this representative of exotic royalty was a favor of the local dignitaries. She used a bow and arrow. She fenced. She swam naked, which is funny that they have like what swimming naked means on this Wikipedia page.
What does swimming naked mean?
Like, or skinny dipping. And the picture they show is just a bunch of dudes. Just a bunch of dudes hanging out. So
basically, it's like, she knows how to fence, and she knows how to. What was the first thing you said?
So she could use a bow and arrow. She could
use
fence.
a bow and arrow. And so based on those two skills, they were like, so she's not stupid. So that means she probably, since she's not stupid, then she must not be poor. And then the other thing was, and she swam naked. So then everybody just stopped caring about whether she was poor or not.
Well, I imagine Samuel and his wife Elizabeth and Caraboo go to like the local swimming hole by themselves. He's like, "All right, well, we got you a swimsuit." Splash! Like, wait a minute, she didn't put on a swimsuit. Is she swimming naked?
Yeah.
And then
the guy's like, "That's how they do it in the Indian Ocean. They swim naked all the time."
He's like, "Damn it, I should have went to India, not America." His wife's like, "What?
Yeah.
Nothing."
Nanas.
And she prayed to a god whom she named Allah Ta'ala, which is Allah
Ta'ala.
Allah the Exalted, one of the formal names of the god of Islam.
Oh, okay. So so it's like a derivation of Allah.
I think so, yeah.
Okay, so that's Allah Ta'ala.
Allah
I've never heard that before.
So it's Allah-Talla.
Huh, I've never heard that before.
So she acquired exotic clothing and her portrait was painted and reproduced in local newspaper. Her authenticity was attested to by a Dr. Wilkinson. So this Dr. Wilkinson probably shows up when she was swimming naked. And it's like, "I've been to India and nobody swims." In my
expert medical opinion, she's a princess.
He identified her language using Edmund Fry's Pantographia, which I guess is a way to kind of understand languages back in the day. And stated that
just a little flowchart, be like, "Does she know how to fence?" And then there's like an arrow for yes,
it's like a
no,
map.
and he's like, "Yes." And he's like, "Does she know? Does she swim naked? Yes or no?" "Yes." "She's a princess."
So he identified marks on her back and head that were works of Oriental surgeons. So newspapers published stories about Princess Caraboo's adventures, bringing her national acclaim. But Richard, as always, the truth comes out.
I don't think you want to be known as Princess Moose.
Princess Caraboo. They're different animals. Caraboo.
How different are they?
Oh, very different.
Really? Like, what's the big difference between a moose and a caribou?
Caraboo is more like a deer or an elk.
I always figured like caribou was just like what the Canadians called moose because they don't want to say moose.
No, they're two different animals completely.
Or it's like the people in Quebec. They're like, no, here they're caribou. They're not like your gutter feeding moose. We have caribou.
Richard, you're going to get us in trouble with our Canadian listeners because mooses are like a national treasure.
Well, not if you say mooses. Yeah. Look at me all you want. Not if you say mooses.
Don't try to turn this on me. You're trying to compare caribou and mooses.
I don't need
the same.
to. You're like mooses. Oh, the mooses up in the Quebec.
Got a problem with today?
Oh, why don't you just fry some fucking back bacon? Beep, 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 beep. Bork, 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 bork.
Back bacon sounds amazing. So eventually, the truth surfaced. A boarding house keeper, Miss Neely, recognized her from the picture in the Bristol Journal and informed her host. This would-be princess was in truth Mary Wilcox, a cobbler's daughter from Withered Ridge, Devon.
Oh, shit.
Not even from India, Richard.
And they're like, wait, but she passed the swim naked test.
She had been a servant girl around England, but had found no place to stay. She invented her fictitious language from imagery and gypsy words and created an exotic character and story. So this girl was a servant. She's like, I'm sick of this shit. So she goes, 100 miles one direction.
Did they say who she's a servant to? Because you said she's a cobbler's daughter. So her dad makes shoes, and then she grows up as like a servant to, I'm assuming, like some.
It said around England, so I guess it was maybe just house to house.
Some aristocrat. And then she's like, fuck this, I want to wear the bathrobe. And so she's like, I'm going to be Princess Moose. Because you know what you do, Shawn? You make the story just stupid enough that it's believable.
Yeah. Have you ever done that? Like gone out and just tried to like pretend to be somebody completely different?
I almost convinced a woman that I was Jack Black.
And then she asked you to sing and play guitar. You're like, damn it.
No, she's sobered up and then.
I feel like I want to do that sometime. Not like to like get action, but just to see like how my improv skills would work. Although I know I take this back. I did do this one time. So in grade school, my family's originally like traces its like lineage back to Kentucky. Okay. And living in Illinois, the big thing is that, our big famous person from Illinois and Kentucky was Abraham Lincoln, right?
Oh,
he started in Kentucky, moved to Illinois. So my best friend in like 6th grade, maybe, I was just talking about it. And I was like, oh yeah, he totally married one of my family. Like she had the same last name as me. He's like, no. I'm like, oh yeah, totally. This is before Google and stuff. So he just, I played it up for so long. He had to know that, or he just kind of took me at my word. I was like, oh yeah, totally. Like we're like, I mean, it's not blood, but we're related. Like you said, just stupid enough.
To Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah. By marriage.
I like it.
And so, we're sitting in class and we're watching this documentary on Abraham Lincoln, and he talks about the woman he married. And when they mention her name, he obviously it wasn't my name. So he turns and looks at me like, what the fuck, dude? I'm like, got me. I was Princess Caraboo in that moment.
Yeah.
But
Abraham Caraboo.
She invented her fictitious language, like I said, from imagery and gypsy words, and created this exotic character. So the odd marks on her heads were scars from a crude cupping operation.
Oh, okay.
Which I think that's making a comeback.
It is.
I'm not sure how well it works, though. I'm kind of curious about that.
I've heard mixed things. Like, I mean, acupuncture, I would say that acupuncture is definitely like a thing that, a lot of people do. And it's, I've never heard of anybody that's like, I tried acupuncture and the whole thing is crazy voodoo science.
I feel like it falls in
thing. I don't think I've ever heard anybody tell me that they've done cupping.
Yeah, I've seen wrestlers seem to be doing that a lot because you'll see like the big red marks on their backs. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because right now all that kind of falls into the chiropractic type stuff. Because I know a lot of chiropractors will also practice acupuncture, and I'm guessing they probably practice this too.
Yeah.
Let's see. So
I wouldn't mind a little cupping.
Yeah. Are you the big cup or little cup?
I need a little cup.
So the British press made much of the hoax at the expense of the duped rustic middle class. Miss Worrell took pity on her and arranged for her to travel to Philadelphia. So the American lady's like, we're getting you out of England.
Yeah,
probably
you should be here.
Probably because her husband was like, we should go swimming again.
Yeah,
let's go swimming one more time.
She's walking around and it's like, I don't know what happened. This woman's leading me to a ship. I don't know. She's calling it the Nana. I don't know what that is. There a ship called the Nana around here somewhere?
All right, wave bye. Bye. It's just going one trip around. So on September 13th, 18th, so this really didn't take that long, like 6 months, and she got outed. A letter was printed in the Bristol Journal alleged from Sir Hudson Lowe, the official in charge of the exiled Emperor Napoleon on St. Helena. It claimed that after the Philadelphia-bound ship bearing the beautiful Caraboo had been driven close to the island by a tempest.
Did they say? I missed it. How did they find out?
Some lady recognized her picture.
Oh, okay.
So apparently when she was on this ship, she was close to the island basically talked the captain into driving close to an island, and the princess cut herself adrift in a small boat, rowed ashore, and so fascinated the emperor that he was applying to the Pope for a disposition to marry her. But this story is unverified. So apparently, Richard, imagine this. This lady's she could have had a black MasterCard if she lived in today's age, Richard.
That's true.
So she's on the ship.
Exist.
Yeah.
Which I'm still on shaky ground as to whether or not that's an actual thing. I think you're just making it up.
She gets put on the ship and they're like, oh, we're close to this island where there's this super rich emperor. And she's like, oh, we should get close so I can wave. He's like, no. She's like, oh, but maybe we should get close so I can swim. He's like, no,
that's crazy. He's like, I'll tell you what, we'll just do a quick sail by. And you can stand there and kind of look at him.
Well, she's like,
where you go? Sploosh.
She's like, but if we get close, I swim naked. He's like, so she gets in a boat and gets away. And she gets this emperor to like fall in love with her that he asked for the Pope. Like, I know she's lying. I know she's English, but I want to marry her.
And she's naming herself after a moose, but it's fine.
You know what? Hey, Pope, I want to tell you a secret. When we're making whoopee, she goes, no. Hey,
Listen,
hey.
Padre, she swims naked. Like, I don't ask for a lot. But I think Jesus wants us to be together. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure this is a miracle, Padre.
Yep.
So in the USA,
unicorns don't come along every so often, but when they do, I gotta jump on it, right, Padre? Huh?
So in the USA, she briefly continued her role, appearing on stage at Washington Hall in Philadelphia as Princess Caraboo with little success. So America called her shit out right away. Like, no, we don't buy this.
Wait a minute. So the Pope was like, no, you can't marry the poor girl that says Nana all the time.
Yeah, that story wasn't verified. So I think that's one that kind of like, that could be kind of like the Pecos Bill type thing, where like Pecos Bill is a real dude, but he didn't actually lasso a tornado.
I don't know. I mean, you say that, but like that's in a book. Okay, so
and it's in a movie.
It's in a book, so it's fact.
Yeah, Patrick Swayze played Pecos Bill in a movie, so he only does documentaries. Did he lasso a tornado? I'm pretty sure he did. I haven't seen that movie in forever.
So that means that the movie was an accurate representation of the book.
Yep. So it happened. Fact.
So it happened.
You know what wasn't in Tall Tales, Richard? The movie by Disney from like 1994.
What?
Black MasterCard.
Yep. You know why? It's not real.
Yep. It's true.
Not real.
I always remember like that was like at the age when that came out that when I saw it, I'm like, well, of course it's in a movie. It's got to be real.
Yep. And then and then you hear that it's based on a book and you're like, well, that just confirms it.
Yeah. 2 for 2. You know, we tried to watch that a while back. We got like 20 minutes into it. It was trash. And my son was like, this is stupid. And like I realized really quickly, Patrick Swayze is a cowboy. Not good.
Does that crush your spirit when shit like that happens? Like when you watch something that you're like you're super excited to introduce like your kid to something that you watched when you were a kid, and then you're watching it and they're watching it, and like it's really dumb. But like they sometimes like they almost don't want to say anything because they think they might hurt your feelings, and then you don't want to say anything because you're going through this entire like existential crisis almost where you're like, God, I had shit taste when I was a kid. Like
I haven't run into that too much.
With Saved by the Bell, because I remember like I loved Saved by the Bell when I was younger. And then like a couple of years ago, watched an episode and I was like, this is hot fucking garbage.
Yeah. It was a Saturday morning show. You know what I'm like, I was worried because that happened. And then we got HBO Max like a year after you had that. I mean, it was like 2 years after you had that happen. And I was like, they got Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. And I was in the same boat where I was like, man, like, I don't want to watch this and like be like,
have it be bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Fresh Prince holds up, although
it does hold up.
When you get into season like 4 and 5, there's a lot of like there's a lot of misogyny in it to begin with, but it gets a little bit more heavy-handed like in the later seasons.
Yeah, I mean, I can kind of I mean like when it comes to shit like that, like I can kind of like I give it a little bit of a pass cuz I'm like, well, you know, I mean different time or whatever. But like I mean like with Saved by the Bell, like it's just not good. Like
yeah.
Misogyny and everything aside, like it's just bad. It's bad writing. It's pretty bad acting. Like it's not good.
Yeah. I wonder if well, I mean, to be fair, those were like kids. Like they were not that old.
No, I don't wholly if I fault anybody, I fault the writing / production staff.
Yeah. Well, and it wasn't trying
like,
to be.
Those kids are like at that point, like those kids are just fucking parrots. You know, you hand them a piece of paper and they're like, I'm Zach Morris.
Have you tried to watch the new season, the new series they did on that?
No.
On that Peacock?
No.
Got through one episode. Yeah. Like you thought like regular Saved by the Bell was bad. This one is like even worse.
God, I bet. I can only imagine.
And I think the problem is because like Saved by the Bell is like its own like universe, right? Like it's in a bubble.
Yeah.
And so in the new one, they try to like basically say like Bell. What the hell is that place? Why am I forgetting their name? Bayside. I wanted to say Bel Air. I got Fresh Prince on the mind. But they basically like Bayside is like in this bubble and it's like not any like touch of reality, and they try to like bring people into it. But instead of like playing into it, where like the stuff is like it's actually like a different universe.
Yeah,
they play it more just like it's. I don't know. Like it'd been kind of interesting, like the people they bring from the outside, if it was like them stepping on set and like, wait a minute, this stuff doesn't make sense, and then they could do like timeout, like they figure out the rules of this universe. But instead, like it tries to walk this line of like kind of real, but like not real, and yeah, it's just it's not very good.
Yeah, that doesn't sound good at all. No, thank you.
Yeah, I tried to watch one episode and I was like, no, I'm good. And then they put it on Peacock, and I still don't think Peacock's doing very well.
Oh yeah,
yeah. At least that one's free. That's a free service.
Oh, is it free?
You get commercials.
I haven't watched anything on it.
I got it just to watch Saved by the Bell one day, like to watch the new ones. Yeah, and I was like, that was a use of an email address that I didn't need to do. So back to our Princess Caraboo. So in the USA, she briefly continued her role, like we said, like on Washington Hall in Philadelphia as Princess Caraboo, but no success. Her last contact with the Worrells, which is the family she was with in Europe, was in a letter from New York in November of 1817. So this all takes place like a 10-month period.
Damn.
But in this, she complained of her notoriety. She appears to have returned to Philadelphia until she left America in 1824 to return to England. So in 1824, she returns to Britain and exhibited herself for a short time in a New Bond Street, London, as Princess Caraboo, but her act was not successful. So she was really trying to,
because they were like, well, you know what, that makes sense. Because she's like, I'll go back in 10 years because by then, because it's this 1800s. In 10 years, everybody I know should probably be dead.
But is this like the very first like going viral? Because she has like this whole thing where she's she pretends to be something and then she gets some gigs.
Not really. I don't, because I mean, you said it yourself, like she does shit and it doesn't really take off. It has like a mediocre success. You know who this chick is? This is a chick who's like, who like did something that kind of worked once, and everything after that was everything subsequently that had happened after that, like is just like this mockery of of trying to recapture that lightning. And it's not even lightning in a bottle, but just like it's this like sad, great value version of trying to relive a moment in time.
Yeah, well, that's where I kind of say like
it's the Dollar General like version of, and everything is just a terrible facsimile. Like, I'm gonna be Princess Caraboo in America, and it's just like, it's like I said, it's like Dollar General.
Well, that's why I say
D-list star.
It's like being the YouTube viral star. Like you have that YouTube video that goes like, this is like early like YouTube video star, and like that thing hits.
She's like that Cash Me Outside girl that was on that fucking Dr. Phil.
Or I was gonna say like the Friday girl.
She did one thing that was really, really stupid, and then everything that like every attempt that she's made to try and like build some sort of life has been based off of the stupid of a stupid thing that you did when you were younger.
Yeah, you like your family took you to Dr. Phil to hopefully help you, and it ends up probably making your life even worse.
I mean, yeah, in a roundabout way, because then you go like, I'm gonna say a bunch of stupid shit and act like this, fucking ghetto hoe. And then, yeah, I said it.
You did say
Don't look
it.
at me like that.
Well, I'm going to say, so Richard, so she did that. She got a recording contract, did a bunch of rap albums.
She did.
And then you know what she did after that?
I'm going to guess porn.
She went on like the day after or the day of. I mean, I can't remember which because I saw this on Twitter. She started her own OnlyFans page.
Yep.
$1 million in the first month.
Yep.
So you know what else she has?
Black MasterCard. I knew it.
But yeah, you have to wonder about like that kind of situation. That like this is very similar. And the other one I was saying is like the Friday girl. Like she did that Friday song, it exploded. And it was somebody who just got shit on. It's like this kid.
That one was kind of sad though, because like she's just like with that like she's a chick that like made this song, and yeah, it was a little earwormy and kind of annoying. But then like people just fucking like dumpstered on that girl.
But she's turned that into a career. She's kind of making a comeback with that. Because again, and that you think like that was
like
early.
The Catch Me Outside girl, I feel like has built a career on like, being dumb, on being not intelligent.
Yeah, like being kind of like disassociated with the real world.
Yeah, it's like it's creating nothing from nothing.
Yeah, that's a kid who wasn't grounded when they should have been grounded.
Well, it's not even that. It's just like, to me, it's like it's on that same level with like the Kardashians or Snooki and shit like that. Like you're generating a lot of money, but it's built on smoke. It's built on, I can't even call it a house of cards because like cards have substance. Like there's no, that's the thing is there's no substance to any of it.
Yeah. Well, the Kardashians made their money on the OJ trial.
No, the Kardashians made money because one of them was in a porn.
That's true. I forgot about that. Is there a direct correlation? Could you tie that porn to the OJ trial?
No. And I don't want to.
Yeah.
Because then I'm picturing fucking, oh God, what's his name? Now I'm picturing like Mark Furman in a porn. Or Kato Caitlin. Which I think Kato Caitlin actually wasn't a porn.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's kind of like where you get to in the point, like, right? Like, you're like super famous or you're kind of starting to teeter, like Screech, speaking of Saved by the Bell, you're like, oh no, my porn leaked. My home video leaked.
Yeah.
Screech, R.I.P.
I mean, like I said, it's an empire based on nothing. And that's honestly, like those are the things that kind of like tick me off. Cause like I said, like the fucking, like that stupid Catch Me Outside girl, like you act like an ignorant ass and then build and do what you can to generate money off of being an ignorant ass.
Well, I think like the Kardashians and stuff, like I don't know anybody that watches that stuff.
I don't either.
That's what blows my mind.
On?
Yeah. I mean, so who's the youngest one that just had a kid? I don't remember what her name is. She's like dated some basketball players, I think.
I have no idea.
I don't
know any other names.
But apparently she's like a billionaire. Yeah. All from a dirty movie. Yeah, because nobody knew Courtney or who was the one that did the porno?
Fuck if I know. I don't remember. I just remember one of them was in a porn.
Yeah. That leaked. Yeah, because I didn't know her name until that happened.
This shit makes me angry. So basically Princess Caraboo is the Catch Me Outside girl of the 1800s.
That's true. Yeah, so if she had the internet, she would have been a billionaire and had a black MasterCard. Like we said at the beginning of this episode. Yep. But in September of 1828, so this is later life and death, she was living as a widow in Bedminster under the name Mary Burgess, which in reality was the name of her cousin, so she stole her cousin's name. There, she married Richard Baker, Dick Baker, and gave birth to a daughter named Mary Ann the following year, around 1829. In 1839, she was selling leeches to the Bristol Infirmary Hospital, but then she died in the fall of December on Christmas Eve in 1864. She was buried in Hebron Road Cemetery in Bristol, and her daughter carried on with her business, living alone in Bedminster in a house full of cats until her death in a fire in February of 1900.
Oh my God.
That's a sad ending.
It is a sad ending.
So, like, I guess it was
like, I'm going to have a kid, and then the kid doesn't do anything, tries to be like, oh, I'm the... what do you do? Like, oh, I'm the daughter of a fake princess, and I'm living with my cats.
Yeah, well, it's selling leeches, which maybe at that time that's when they're like, this leech thing doesn't work. And she's like, shit, now I'm going to go the way of the buggy whips.
Then the market fell out on leeches.
Yeah, she's like, how am I going to take care of all these cats?
Yeah, it's like I got it. This is my ticket out of here. I'm gonna put all my money into leeches.
I've heard
because you know what? That's something that's here to stay.
Yeah.
And I'm going to take all my profits from leeches and put it into buggy whips.
Thank God
those
for the
aren't
fire.
going around. Those aren't going anywhere anytime soon.
Oh, could you imagine a house full of cats that burned down?
Ugh.
Apparently,
I'm
there was.
sure all the cats got out.
Probably not.
Well, not all of them, but I bet most of them got out.
I don't know.
Cats are very like, fuck you, I'm out.
Yeah, well, how are they gonna? Well,
like a dog will be like, oh, I'll grab you by the collar, by the scruff of your neck, and try and drag you out, and maybe I'll burn alive too, but it's okay because I love you. A cat's like, what's that? An open window? Jump.
Yeah, well,
Fuck
I guess
you, bitch.
Back in this time, they probably had like indoor, outdoor cats. So they probably did have the windows open all the time.
Why do you have that black MasterCard in your mouth? Where are you going?
I'm gonna get some catnip. Apparently, there's a movie, a biopic about this called Princess Caraboo, which was released in 1994.
Dirty Rotten Scoundrels.
And there's some film adaptations and stuff. Or there's the film adaptation, and I guess there's some theater stuff too, where they have a full stage play in London about this.
Okay, so you're playing a person who was playing a person. So you're on a stage playing a person who was playing a person on a stage.
Yeah, and then Richard, you were saying
a made up person.
You were saying well, if it's in a movie, it's in film, it's on stage. I mean, is there a book? Richard, there's The Curious Tale of Princess Caraboo, a historical novel that was released in 2015.
You know what I want you to say? I want you to say, and then somebody looked into it and traced her genealogy all the way back, and she actually was a princess, and nobody knew it.
Well, no, what I was going to say, Richard, is the reason I brought this up is because I did trace our lineage, and she actually married a German who was my great, 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 great uncle.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Interesting,
that's crazy.
Huh? Yeah.
You know what? I did the same thing, and it turns out I am related to a Nigerian prince.
Oh. Why don't you have a black MasterCard?
And he is sending me a black MasterCard.
All I had to give him was my social security number, my bank account, and $2,500 up front.
Easy peasy.
Yeah.
But you know what, Shawn? Black MasterCard.
Nice.
Turns out it is real. I think it's also coming with a bathrobe. So... Who looks stupid now?
You're right, Richard. When you're right, you're right.
Ha ha! Got him.
But Richard, that is the tale of Princess Caraboo. I think what we learned is that maybe the first Cash Me Outside girl.
Ugh.
When they were talking about leeches,
I feel like that's an insult to Princess Caraboo.
Yeah. Although, I mean, I don't know. Is it smart or dumb? Like, that chick's made a lot of money pretty quick.
See, that's the thing is like when I say shit like that, like, oh, she's fucking trash. Like I come off as like, well, you're just jealous because you want her money. Like, don't get me wrong. Like I would love her money. And I mean, I guess kudos for, making money off of people even dumber than you are. But at the same time, like, I guess I just wish that some people had the self awareness or the self-inflection, the inflection to say to themselves like, hey, like maybe I should try and do something with substance and put it into the world. And
then the audience like that, like instead of being like, I'm going to see what naughty bits of the Cash Me Outside girl she's showing on her OnlyFans. I'm going to go out and find something that's got a little bit more substance, a little bit more intelligence. I'm going to go check out some podcast. And then, Richard, why don't they just come check us out?
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. And then here you are.
Cash Me On Podcast.
Record, if anybody wants to see me, I will start an OnlyFans page if that's what it takes.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think you want it, but what the fuck do I know? You'll buy her stupid shit, so I mean, why not mine?
Have you ever thought about I think we talked about this before. Have you ever thought about just trying to see what happens?
What, start an OnlyFans page?
Yeah.
No. I'm a guy, Shawn.
You could call it Dick Baker.
It's just me like putting things in an oven with my clothes on.
Holding like the cucumber. Like everything's
I got
blocking.
like a tray of cookies. I'm like,
oh, you know what?
Delicious.
I'd pay money for that because you could put the recipes on there. Be like, here's my famous.
See, Shawn, you know what you're doing? You're trying to make something smart out of something that should be stupid.
Yeah, that's true.
That would be a smart thing to do.
Ooh, you could put your St. Patty's Day recipes on there. Because then somebody would
look at it and be like, hey, this guy's got some really good baking recipes. And for some reason, he always posts pictures of him naked with the thing that he's baking. But that's okay because, it's still a decent recipe.
Oh, but there's some money there. You can make your own calendar. So you have a picture of you each month, and it's got like the recipe of the month. Richard, there might be a money deal here.
Yeah, and then I'll just go on Twitter and just challenge people to fucking fights.
Why would you do that?
Because that's how you garner a social following, Shawn.
Well, no, we got to take you on Dr. Phil and act like he's like, well, every time he cooks, he's naked. Do you know how many pubes are in his food?
You pick fights with other people on social media, and then post naked pictures of yourself, and that's how you do it. That's the way it apparently works.
Yeah, well, maybe for some.
The Dick Baker thing's a pretty good fucking idea, though.
I think that's a good idea because people would go to it and be like, that's kind of funny, and it's got good recipes. Oh, you could do live cooking shows too, like once a month. There might be some. You need to check OnlyFans, and if I got like a certain level, like a top tier, like the top tier level, I cook bacon. Ooh, because I wouldn't have clothes, right? So it's like, so then it adds that whole danger element to it. Those would be the ones who are which is the ones that like to see pain? The sadists?
Masochists. Sadists like to see it. Masochists like to get it.
Okay, so it'd be the sadist that would like to watch it and see it happen to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pour it on yourself.
No, don't soak up any of that grease. Just toss the next bit in there. Oh, he's making the eggs in the grease. Oh, oh man. Eggs cooked in bacon grease? Oof, Jeff's kiss.
It's like food porn coupled with porn. Yeah.
But without actually being porn because you wouldn't show anything.
Well, you'd have to show something.
Yeah, it'd be like the top of your butt crack. Like you want it tasteful.
Who wants to see that?
Well, I think the Cash Me Outside girl's not showing anything.
Really?
Yeah. And she's got a lot of money.
That makes it even worse.
Yeah.
And you know what? Like I said, like to a point, I don't really fault her for getting the money. I fault the morons that are giving her money.
Yeah.
Those are the people, though. That's where I feel the problem lies.
Mm.
That's where I'm at.
Yeah. Well, I don't know with that. Like a lot of times I think they do that because there's the connection. Because usually they'll do the
connection.
Yeah.
Please put air quotes around the word connection.
Yeah, for something like that, Hunter. Well, because it's it's not exactly the same, but that Kevin Smith club that I'm in, he does AMA, he does private Ask Kevin Anythings. Yeah. And so I've got to talk to him once, face to face, and that was a cool thing. So that's kind of what that stuff is too, because you get 20 seconds to be like, hey, I really like you on Dr. Phil. Bye. But we're off the rails, Richard. And you know what? We're not in Portland. We're not in Portland off the rails, because if we were, we'd be stuck on a boat.
Yep, we'd be on a boat, and then they'd throw us off the rails.
Yeah, you need to get that all researched. That's what we'll talk about next week.
I like it. I like it.
Well, as we are finishing this episode up on Princess Caraboo, what do you have for some Richard's closing thoughts?
Don't buy anything from the Cash Me Outside girl, and life is what you make it. Whether you want to be named after a moose or say stupid things on the internet, it's all up to you. Your destiny is your own.
I love it. All right, well, let me do a little bit of housekeeping. Visit our website, languageofbromance.com. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at languageofbro. Email us at bros@languageofbromance.com. And remember, you can join our Patreon account. If you're like, oh, should I do Cash Me Outside OnlyFans or Language of Bromance Patreon? Why don't you join this Patreon like Wendy?
I promise there will be no nudes of me with a tray of cookies. I promise.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be tasteful.
Yeah.
Man, I'm glad we got our weekend figured out, though. I didn't know what we were going to do, but now I know. All right. Well, is there anything else before we close her out?
No, I'm good.
All right. Well, that's all the Bromance have for this show. I'm Shawn.
And I'm Richard.
And remember, don't be a why.
Be a why not. I should
Dick.
be a why not.
Yeah. Why not, Dick Baker?